It's really rather extraordinary that today is the 40th anniversary of Rudi's passing. It's hard to imagine, for me, that Rudi has been gone for so many more years than I actually even knew him. I spent 7 years with Rudi when I was still very young. I was not yet 30. He died before I was 30. And yet he had this amazing impact on my life that means that I'm sitting here 4 decades later still talking about him and still sharing his work. And I'm not the only person doing this tonight. All over the country there are people gathering in the same way to acknowledge the passing of someone who left so much behind. And we all, I believe, feel like this extraordinary family, the people who have been touched by this singular mind and singular energy. And Rudi was like, he was like no one I'd ever met before, and have never met anyone like him since. He was, I've talked about it in class recently, a dynamo of life force, a living force of energy, a transformative force. And how often do you find somebody in your life who does that? Hopefully everybody finds someone during the course of a life who really changes the way they look at the world, the direction they're headed. You know, I had school teachers who certainly did that for me when I was young, and I have enormous gratitude to them. But Rudi changed and uprooted everything. I'd spent a year and a half in India looking for a teacher, really trying to find someone who would take over the spiritual directions of my life, the directives, hoping to give myself over to whatever it was. And to me, I thought it would be Tibetan teachers, because I had been very touched by the Tibetan Book of the Dead early on in my journey. And then I wanted to meet the Hindu teachers, the Vedanta teachers, the various schools of Hindu practice, which I think all, for me, were singularly important. I was very taken by the Bhagavad Gita. I was very taken by Buddhist philosophy. And then I met Rudi, who incorporated both, and quite seamlessly, in fact. And interestingly, he was Jewish, and he had an incredible affinity for Christianity. So he had a kind of a totality about him that I found to be truly, truly amazing. And he left this world way too early. I mean, none of us were ready for him to leave, although he had said to us that he is celebrating his 45th birthday 1 month before his plane crash. And in celebrating his birthday, he said, I'm going to be leaving for 11 years. I'm going to go to the Middle East. None of you will see me. The classes will be finished. And none of us could believe that he would actually do that, or what he was looking for, or why he would want to go anywhere. He seemed so complete in himself. And he didn't leave in that way. He didn't go to the Mideast, although I have to say, after he died, I had this feeling he didn't really die. He just staged the plane crash and moved to the Mideast, but probably at the most disruptive time in Middle Eastern history. So I hope that's not the choice he made. But 40 years later, I'm still here, and I'm trying to share with you this remarkable entity, this remarkable person. And tonight I'm going to show you a video that was made when he was entertaining his teacher, Swami Nityananda, actually Swami Muktananda, who was a disciple of Swami Nityananda, who came to America because Rudi brought him over. And Swami Muktananda became a very big force in the sort of spiritual currents of American life for people who were of the sort of post-hippie generation, who were looking for spiritual guidance. But someone's at the door if you want to. Just get, thank you, Deb.
No, it's Jackie.
Oh, okay. And Rudi had a desire to bring this teacher to the West, and did. And what you're going to watch when we see this movie is the arrival of Swami Muktananda in America, and you're going to see what I think is probably one of the most important parts of Rudi's teaching, how to be a great student. Because Rudi was a perfect student, and he served Muktananda really well for many, many years. Muktananda was not an easy guy for Rudi. There was, strangely enough, a lot of competition. You would like to think that didn't exist in the in that world, but it does. And at one point, Rudi finally left Muktananda to become, in a sense, his own person. It follows after this documentary, so there's a lot of stuff you're not going to see. But what you are going to see is, how does a remarkable student deal with a remarkable teacher? It's very instructive. And the teaching that Rudi is offering is the core of his practice. Now let me say one very important thing about his practice, because my own practice has, as most of you who've been here for the last few years know, it has really evolved into something that looks different on some level. I have definitely moved into a realm that you might call non-dualism. It's a realm that I think speaks very deeply to me, and I think is a natural outflow of what Rudi taught. But I will tell you that what Rudi is really teaching all of us, and I think it's really crucial to understand, is that this life is your spiritual life. That's the essence of his teaching. How do I navigate this life that I am in now? How do I live in this world and make it the transformative place that I need it to become free of my, and this is up to you to answer, my stuff, my ego, my mind, my unhappiness, we all have all these things that we want to be free of, and we all come to meditation usually because we're seeking something that I call other. Usually it has to do with peace, happiness, bliss, freedom, enlightenment, awakening. These are all the things that we're looking for as people. And Rudi proposed a path for us through life that would bring us to all of these things. But he very cleverly said along the way, what you really will become is nothing. You'll become nothing. And I didn't hear that for years. I didn't hear becoming nothing. I heard it, but I didn't relate to it. And then, from my own experience, when Bruce became nothing, which was something I talk about a lot in my class, what was left was so much of what Rudi talked about. You can call it peace, openness, awareness, more than I actually anticipated on many levels. But what was missing was Bruce to have it. What was missing was that there was no Bruce to be this. There was just being, receiving, living, existing every day. And it's an extraordinary state to arrive at. It's what this practice delivers. It's a way of arriving at yourself and to discover that yourself is nothing, meaning no thing at all. It is something that is not describable by words, not describable by ideas, not that that stops anybody from trying, but it is an extraordinary state of being which comes, I believe, from years of effort. Years of effort at reaching for and trying to become nothing, or if you will, trying to become something and then discovering only by becoming something can you become nothing. Rudi would say, you can't have what you don't let go of. You can't let go of what you haven't had. It works both ways. But you really, I think, through Rudi's practice, learn how to have the life you want, and then, only then, let it go. Because if you try to let it go before you've had it, you'll always feel, I can't do it, something's missing, something's not right. You need to live your life. You need to live your life as fully and deeply and completely and as brilliantly and as satisfactorily as you humanly can. And then, out of that, you will be able to start to say, I did it. And then you'll begin to let go and let go and let go. And this idea of freedom, this idea of openness and awareness arises. The video we're about to look at is very dramatic. Rudi started doing something he had never done before, which is to work directly with people using their chakras, especially the third eye chakra, which created in Rudi's group a huge dramatic experience. And you'll see people literally falling over from this energy. And he was for me, at that point in time, an extraordinary conduit of remarkable energy. A lot of people, including me, were attracted to him because he could touch you on the forehead and you would fall over. I will tell you, as remarkable an experience as that is, it's really just clearing stuff out. It's not an attainment. It's not something you reach for to say, oh my God, look how spiritual I am. It's really just something that occurs to allow energy to release itself from inside you and begin to free you. It is not an essential ingredient in spiritual work. It is, in a way, a passing phase. And many of the people that I have been attracting as students are way past that. So what you need to do when you watch this is be very open-minded. I think watch what I think is a remarkable teacher finding his way in a totally new arena for him, being a remarkable student, and I think delivering every message that he had to deliver, all in this one document that we have. So I'm going to show that, and then I'm going to show a document that we have of Nityananda, who was Rudi's first and primary teacher. He was the teacher of Muktananda, who you will see arriving in America, and of Rudi. Nityananda, Rudi will talk about, and you'll hear him talk about. I'm happy to talk about him after the fact. I never met Nityananda. I consider him the grandfather of my practice. I can barely describe what or who he is. He seems to me so far beyond what most of us understand as a normal human being. You'll see him walking around very arthritic and in a diaper, and very overweight, and kind of like, who and what is this? All I can tell you is that he changed more lives than anybody that I have been aware of. And he changed Rudi's life, and that's passed on to me, and indirectly, in a way, it's passed on to all of you. This guy was a powerhouse of transformative energy. And you'll watch all of that, and then we will have a dinner, sit around, and just hug each other and share and be together. And again, I thank you for allowing me 40 years after the fact to still be sitting here and sharing this enormous love and gratitude that I have for my teacher with you. And, you know, Rudi said, I never want to be someone who you write about in Reader's Digest. You know, famous people I knew were people who affected my life, but I can't avoid doing that. Rudi affected my life, and I'm celebrating it tonight. So thank you for being here with me.